The Philadelphia Fault Line, Netanyahu's Red Line, the Philadelphia Corridor. This narrow strip of land, often overlooked on the global stage, has become a focal point of intense geopolitical tension. A narrow strip of land, stretching just 14 kilometers along the border between Gaza and Egypt. Despite its small size, its strategic importance cannot be overstated. A seemingly insignificant dot on the map, yet it holds the key to understanding the broader conflict in the region. Yet this small area has become a flashpoint in the ongoing Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The corridor has seen countless clashes, protests, and military operations, each adding to the region's volatility. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has drawn a line in the sand, declaring Israeli control over the Philadelphia corridor non-negotiable. His stance is clear and unwavering. He views it as crucial for Israeli security, a bulwark against Hamas, the militant group controlling Gaza. For Netanyahu, the corridor is not just a piece of land, it is a shield protecting Israel from potential threats. This stance, however, has drawn criticism both domestically and internationally. Critics argue that Netanyahu's hardline approach exacerbates tensions and hinders the peace process. Netanyahu argues that the corridor serves as a vital buffer zone between Gaza and Egypt. He believes that maintaining control over this area is essential for preventing the flow of weapons and militants into Gaza. He believes that relinquishing control would allow Hamas to rearm and regroup, posing an even greater threat to Israel. The history of the corridor as a smuggling route for weapons and militants underscores his concerns. He points to the corridor's history as a conduit for weapons smuggling and a launching pad for attacks. The numerous smuggling tunnels discovered over the years serve as a stark reminder of the potential dangers. For Netanyahu, it is a matter of national security, a line that cannot be crossed. He has repeatedly emphasized that the safety and security of Israeli citizens are his top priorities. This unwavering stance has put Netanyahu at odds with several key players, including the United States. While the U.S. remains a staunch ally of Israel, there are significant differences in their approaches to the conflict. The Biden administration, while a staunch ally of Israel, has urged a different approach. They advocate for a more balanced strategy that involves compromise and dialogue with the Palestinian authorities. They believe that a lasting ceasefire requires compromise from both sides. The U.S. administration has been actively involved in facilitating peace talks and encouraging both parties to find common ground. The Philadelphia corridor has become a major stumbling block in the ongoing negotiations, a symbol of the deep divisions that continue to plague the region. As long as this issue remains unresolved, the path to peace will be fraught with challenges. The history of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is long and complex, with the Philadelphia corridor playing a pivotal role in the narrative. It has been a site of contention, a battleground, and a symbol of the broader struggle for control and security. Netanyahu's determination to maintain control over the corridor is rooted in a broader strategy to ensure Israel's long-term security. This strategy includes advanced defense systems, rigorous border surveillance, and strategic alliances. International efforts to mediate the conflict have been ongoing for decades, with varying degrees of success. The role of the United Nations and other international bodies has been crucial in attempting to broker peace and stability in the region. Despite the challenges, there have been moments of hope and progress. Peace agreements have been signed and dialogues have taken place, offering glimpses of a possible resolution. The future of the Philadelphia corridor, and indeed the entire region, hinges on the ability of leaders to find common ground and work towards a peaceful coexistence. The hopes and dreams of future generations depend on the decisions made today. As Netanyahu continues to navigate the complex landscape of Middle Eastern politics, the Philadelphia corridor remains a critical element of his vision for Israel's security and future. The path forward is uncertain, but the quest for peace endures. A corridor of contention, strategic significance, and disputed control. The Philadelphia corridor's strategic importance is undeniable. This narrow strip of land, running along the Gaza-Egypt border, has been a focal point of geopolitical tension for decades. Its significance is not just in its geography, but in the control it offers over the movement of goods and people. It snakes along the Gaza-Egypt border, a narrow strip of land that controls the flow of goods and people in and out of the densely populated Gaza Strip. This corridor is a lifeline for many, providing essential supplies and a route for those seeking to leave or enter Gaza. For Israel, it represents a security barrier, a means of preventing Hamas from acquiring weapons and launching attacks. The presence of Israeli soldiers and military vehicles underscores the importance placed on maintaining control over this area. For Hamas, it represents a chokehold, a symbol of Israeli control and the crippling blockade on Gaza. The restrictions imposed have severe implications for the daily lives of Gaza's residents, affecting everything from access to medical supplies to economic opportunities. Control over the corridor grants significant leverage. Whoever holds power here can regulate trade, monitor movement, and implement stringent security measures. This control can be used to exert pressure and influence over the region. It allows for the regulation of trade, the monitoring of movement, and the implementation of security measures. High-tech surveillance equipment and strict border controls are a testament to the strategic importance of this corridor. The party in control dictates the terms of life in Gaza, impacting everything from basic necessities to economic activity. The flow of goods and services is tightly regulated, affecting the availability of food, medicine, and other essential items. This makes the Philadelphia corridor a focal point in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, a microcosm of the larger struggle for power and control. Demonstrations and clashes near the border are frequent, highlighting the ongoing tensions and the high stakes involved. The history of the corridor is fraught with tension and violence. Over the years, it has been the site of numerous confrontations, each adding to the legacy of conflict that defines this region. Israel occupied the area in 1967 during the Six-Day War and maintained control until 2005. This period saw significant military presence and infrastructure development aimed at securing the border. However, Israel's withdrawal did not bring peace. The dismantling of settlements and military withdrawal were significant, but they did not resolve the underlying issues. Hamas's rise to power in Gaza and the subsequent conflicts have kept the corridor a flashpoint. The power struggle between Hamas and Israel has led to frequent rocket attacks and counterattacks, perpetuating the cycle of violence. The issue of control remains a major obstacle to any lasting peace agreement. Diplomatic efforts continue, but the deep-seated mistrust and the strategic importance of the Philadelphia corridor make finding a resolution challenging. International aid efforts and humanitarian organizations play a crucial role in mitigating the impact of the conflict. They provide essential services and support to the people of Gaza, helping to rebuild and recover amidst the ongoing tensions. The future of the Philadelphia corridor remains uncertain. Potential solutions and hopeful scenes of cooperation and peace offer a glimpse of what could be, but achieving lasting stability will require significant effort and compromise from all parties involved. A house divided, the U.S. and Israel at odds over withdrawal. The United States, a long-standing ally of Israel, finds itself in a delicate position. While the Biden administration has reaffirmed its commitment to Israel's security, it has also publicly disagreed with Netanyahu's stance on the Philadelphia corridor. The U.S. believes that a lasting ceasefire requires Israeli withdrawal from densely populated areas in Gaza, including parts of the corridor. This difference of opinion has exposed a rare crack in the usually ironclad U.S.-Israel relationship. The Biden administration argues that Israel's continued presence in the corridor fuels resentment and undermines efforts to improve the humanitarian situation in Gaza. They point to previous agreements where Israel committed to withdrawal as a condition for peace. The U.S. proposal, however, has been met with resistance from Netanyahu. He argues that any withdrawal would be tantamount to handing Hamas a strategic victory. He believes that it would allow the militant group to strengthen its grip on Gaza and pose an even greater threat to Israel's security. This impasse highlights the complexities of the conflict and the difficult choices facing the international community. Hamas's prospective denial and the significance of the corridor. Hamas, the Palestinian militant group controlling Gaza, views the Philadelphia corridor through a different lens. This narrow strip of land running along the border between Gaza and Egypt has been a focal point of contention for years. They deny Israel's claims about tunnels and weapons smuggling, calling them a pretext for maintaining the blockade on Gaza. According to Hamas, these accusations are part of a broader strategy to justify the ongoing siege and to paint the group as a perpetual threat. For Hamas, the corridor represents a symbol of Israeli oppression, a chokehold that stifles the Palestinian people. They argue that the corridor is not just a physical barrier but a manifestation of the broader Israeli policy aimed at subjugating the Palestinian population. Hamas argues that Israel's control over the corridor amounts to collective punishment, denying the people of Gaza access to essential goods and services. The blockade has led to severe shortages of food, medicine, and other critical supplies, exacerbating the humanitarian crisis in the region. They point to the dire humanitarian situation in Gaza, with its high unemployment, poverty, and lack of basic infrastructure. The blockade has crippled the economy, leaving many families struggling to survive and creating a sense of hopelessness among the youth. For Hamas, the corridor is a bargaining chip, a lever to pressure Israel into easing the blockade and recognizing Palestinian rights. They believe that control over the corridor could be used to negotiate better living conditions for the people of Gaza and to push for political concessions. The ongoing conflict has only intensified Hamas's resolve. Each round of violence further entrenches their belief that resistance is the only path to achieving their goals. They view their struggle as one of liberation, a fight against Israeli occupation and control. This narrative of resistance is deeply ingrained in their identity and serves as a rallying cry for their supporters. The Philadelphia Corridor, in their eyes, represents a key battleground in this larger conflict. Control over this area is seen as crucial for both strategic and symbolic reasons. Their stance, however, is unlikely to appease Israel or its allies, who view Hamas as a terrorist organization. The international community remains divided, with some countries supporting Israel's right to defend itself, and others calling for an end to the blockade. The stage is set for a protracted standoff, with the Philadelphia Corridor at its heart. As long as both sides remain entrenched in their positions, the corridor will continue to be a flashpoint in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, symbolizing the broader struggle for control and sovereignty in the region. Efforts by the international community to mediate and find a peaceful resolution have so far been unsuccessful. Humanitarian organizations continue to call for an end to the blockade and for measures to alleviate the suffering of the people in Gaza. Amidst the conflict, the people of Gaza strive to rebuild their lives. Schools, hospitals, and community centers work tirelessly to provide a semblance of normalcy despite the ongoing challenges. The Philadelphia Corridor remains a critical juncture, not just for the movement of goods and people, but for the future of Gaza itself. Its significance extends beyond the immediate conflict, representing the broader aspirations and struggles of the Palestinian people. As the sun sets over Gaza, the hope for a better future persists. The corridor, with all its complexities, stands as a testament to the resilience and determination of those who call Gaza home.